Hi, this is the real Poker Chris Gill, and I'm doing another educational and an exposed video on Frank here. So, these are some other questions that I have decided to put into Google, since we already know the symptoms and conditions of Frank's schizophrenia, but let's actually ask Google here what other things a schizophrenic person is in terms of behavior and their behaviors and personality. So I just typed in, are schizophrenic people power hungry? Now I have many other things here, from reach out, you're not alone, symptoms of schizophrenic can vary person to person. I have one that describes eating disorders and schizophrenia, even though I believe Frank is very overweight, so you can tell he's definitely eating and drinking more than he intends to say that he does. I mean, look at the size of his head. It's like so small. You can almost put your finger on your thumb and squeeze it like a pimple. I am not joking. When you have multiple YouTubers that already have his face shown on screen, you can actually tell his head looks like a poppable pimple. No offense, that's just my general opinion. Do schizophrenics eat a lot? Binge eating disorders and night eating syndromes are frequently found in patients with schizophrenia, with prevalence of approximately 10%. Anorexia nervosa seems to affect 1 in 4% of schizophrenia patients. Now, Frank isn't very skinny at all, so in terms of Frank's smoking addiction and binge drinking addiction, you can tell in terms of his mind, it's already degrading to the fact that every beer he drinks, he loses brain cells. And remember, folks, this is a man who is so power hungry that the only person that comments on his stuff is Poker Trainer Chris, who's pretty much his lapdog, who follows him around everywhere. Doesn't matter which alt he's using, his comments are still around. Doesn't matter if he's using his main account, Poker Trainer Chris is still around. Doesn't matter if Frank is using alternate accounts and impersonation accounts to make lackluster 5-year-old jokes that only Chris Gill gets, because he's the only man who forever wants to live a life as a child and laughing at stuff that a 4-year-old made up in first grade. Isn't that hilarious and also pathetic? Positive symptoms of schizophrenia is things that might start fascinating. Hallucinations. Yes, Frank hallucinates a lot, especially in all of his content that he says that, people are having arguments or people are talking to themselves on alts and yet can't provide information or disclose any information. Especially when we all know from Frank's recent videos that he keeps deleting, he knows that Google tracks IP addresses. And again, if Frank does believe everybody is the same person that talks to himself on alts, how come he can't provide the actual evidence in terms of location, time zones, or IP addresses on every single account that talks to him, that's on his streams, and apparently supports him, which I don't believe for a fact they actually do. What's the possible symptoms of schizophrenia? The symptoms of schizophrenia are usually classified into positive symptoms and change in behavior, thoughts such as hallucination and delusions. Now, for a man who is forever a child, making up childish immaturity and really painfully bad videos on his impersonation accounts and old accounts, you can tell by his change in behavior, he is forever a child. How can you tell? Every time he talks, he's always aggressive and he's always acting like a child. And remember, folks, every time he makes a video calling people like 5-year-old names like Window Licker or calling Monster Gamer, Gamer, and other stuff that, again, 4-year-olds would come up with, he laughs like a 3-year-old child. Is that a hallucination? Is that a change in behavior? Or is that him being so delusional that he doesn't understand what being an adult is and is forever trapped in Neverland, never growing the fuck up? You tell me. Because the amount of evidence in terms of his audio and the way he talks and the way he uses the same insults, the same cuss words, and the same descriptions constantly makes him the weakest child living in a 35-year-old man's body, and yet still can't figure out how to grow up. Still can't figure out how to actually gain a channel with monetization. A man who continues to harass and stalk people, even though he says and quotes that other people stalk, harass, and bully him for his conditions, while he does the same to everybody else who has Down syndrome, autism, and many other mental health conditions like depression, anxiety. And what does he do? He goes for the ones that are the weakest, because apparently if he can insult, bash, and say that they are everything bad that he is, and try to deflect that on them, and they end themselves, it's a win for him. But that's not the case, is it? You're weak. You only go for the ones that are weaker than you. And you wonder why. You can't go against myself and others who have much evidence on you as a person, your personality, your schizophrenia that is so all over the place that your speech is so muddled that you need a speech pathologist to actually sort out the descriptions, lies, and delusions that you believe are so legit that you have poker trainer Chris rubbing your genitals hoping to get a genie coming out of your penis. And you know what's funny? No matter how many times you make an account and it gets banned and you try so hard to desperately gain everybody's attention, the only attention you're going to be getting is Chris Gill wiping his fake Christian prayer hands all over your lacking small male genitals that you can't even use on any girl that you pick up. And it doesn't matter if they have schizophrenia like you or any other personal or descriptive mental condition or health problem. You will continue and always fuck it up because you will never gain anything. Even when you agree that you will fuck up, you forever do fuck up. You will never gain anything from it. And you can delete, avoid, and throw as much painfully bad 4 to 6 second videos on movie titles saying Alien versus Predator, which is kind of ironic because aren't you a predator online, especially in terms of stalking children online and talking to every single YouTuber that you seem to not like and respect behind their backs? Isn't that something that Chris Gill does as well? Are you trying so hard to change Chris Gill into your twin that you actually have something in common? Because that's what I'm seeing here. And it just makes me laugh, really. But hey, let's read more into the mind of Frank and his schizophrenia that he's going to use to say I'm bullying him because he has schizophrenia, and he bullies everybody else for everyone else who has disabilities and mental health conditions. Many people with schizophrenia have trouble with sleep. Yes, Frank does. He doesn't go to sleep to about maybe 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and it's about 22 minutes past 4 in Australia, so he is about 12 hours behind me, so it'll be about almost 4:30 in the morning for him. So he'll probably still be awake, so either way, he won't be getting to sleep until like sunrise and be dislike spamming and making pointless videos going, oh, this person did this, this, and this, and yet doesn't have the balls, doesn't have the spine, doesn't have the mouth or the ass to even come up with any logical proof or evidence, as well as locations of where the person is, followed by the emails that he wishes so desperately that he can use and have to spread around and have people attack them for him, and the fact that he doesn't know anything about time zones or the age of consent around the world because he thinks it's the age limit of 16. So again, the delusions and what he believes is fact versus what isn't still affects for his mental mind to this very day. Do schizophrenics feel love? Oh, that hurt. During episodes of psychosis, your loved one may experience threatening sensations that you can't understand. Yeah, it's when Frank sees a little girl and says, oh, yeah, that's someone that you dated before, and yet still trying to find that girl that you can't seem to get a hold of, and yet find more issues and problems to say that, oh, you don't want to be with this girl, and yet a week or so later, maybe longer, you dump them, and then back to square one again. Schizophrenia can make it hard for people to express emotions, feelings, communicate clearly, or seem interested in others. Well, in terms of Frank's interest, the only interest that he has lately is using his alternate accounts and impersonation accounts to be a power-hungry moron that wants attention, and his backside changed every day because without people talking about his channels, without people actually using actual proof to debunk his delusions and his imaginary voices that he hears in his head, he can't do anything about it. And all you can do is be a failure. But hey, that's where I'm going to leave this video for now. So, here's something else that Frank will probably need. Since I'm here to help, it's time for Frank to actually get help, because you're never going to remove your mental health. You're never going to change. Your delusions and voices in your head are already controlling you. You can't escape what your condition has already made you. A puppet, not a real boy. This is the real Pokey Chris Keel, and I'm signing out.